They said you weren't real, like your existence was just a rumor whispered by the desperate. They laughed while digging your grave, thinking the dirt would seal you away. But they never understood. Some things grow stronger underground. Now you've crawled out, carrying the silence like a weapon, and every step you take is a countdown. They don't see you yet, but they can feel you. And when you finally touch them, it won't be flesh you tear apart. It'll be their soul. They didn't kill you with a blade. They killed you with laughter. They stood in circles, grinning with teeth too white to be honest, declaring your name like it was a mistake the universe had made. They said you weren't real, not worth the air you breathed, as if their words could bend reality. But you didn't die when they buried you under their lies. You just stopped breathing their oxygen and started breathing fire. They thought you'd shatter from being ignored, that the silence would crush you into dust. But here's the truth. Silence is only deadly to those who fear it. You didn't fear it. You swallowed it whole. You sat in that grave they dug for you and made it a throne. The dirt pressing down on your chest. It became armor. The darkness they thought would blind you, it sharpened your eyes. You didn't beg them to see you. You didn't claw for their attention. You let them walk away thinking they'd won, because victory is sweetest when the enemy doesn't know they're losing. You let them talk, let them gloat, let them paint you as nothing. And all the while, you were becoming something they'd never understand, something that didn't need permission to exist. They underestimated what happens when you strip a soul of applause. You stop dancing for the crowd and start moving for the kill. You learn patience, you learn stillness. And while they were distracted, chasing their own reflections, you were studying them. Their patterns, their weaknesses, the soft points they hide under arrogance. Every insult they threw was just another map to the cracks in their armor. They thought they were burying you in defeat. What they were really doing was locking themselves in the same cage they thought they'd put you in. They didn't realize cages can be flipped, that the bars they built for you could become the walls closing in on them. Every laugh they threw, every time they said your name with venom, it was another brick in the fortress you'd one day use to trap them. And while they slept soundly in their belief that you were gone, you were learning the art of returning, not in daylight, not in a way they could prepare for, but in the shadows, where ghosts are made, because that's what they created. Not a failure, not a reject, but something they can't kill twice. Now the air around them feels colder. Their victories taste bitter. They can't explain why certain moments feel like they're being watched, why familiar places suddenly feel haunted. But you know, because you're there, in the cracks of their day, in the pauses between their words, not as the person they remember, but as the thing they never saw coming. And when you finally decide to step out from the dark, it won't be to prove you were real. It'll be to prove they were wrong to think they could kill something that was never alive in the way they understood. You won't touch their body. You'll go for something deeper. You'll take their certainty, their control, their ability to breathe without tasting fear. Because you didn't die when they buried you. You learned how to move underground, and now you're already under their feet. They thought removing your name from the conversation erased you. They thought deleting your face from their memories would keep you from haunting theirs. But ghosts aren't born from love. They're forged in neglect, betrayal, and silence. And they made you one without even knowing it. They told themselves you were gone. But every time they turned around, they saw a shadow where there shouldn't be one. Every time they tried to forget some small sound, a creak, a whisper, the rush of wind through an empty room, reminded them of you. You became a presence they couldn't explain away, a weight pressing on the back of their neck. They didn't kill you. They gave you the power to walk through walls. When you stopped fighting for recognition, something inside you shifted. You became dangerous. Because the person who no longer needs to be seen can move without being tracked. You learned to vanish in plain sight, to listen instead of speak, to observe instead of prove. And the longer you stayed silent, the more they revealed about themselves. They thought your absence meant weakness, but absence is the sharpest weapon. People fear what they can't predict, and you became unpredictable. You didn't tell them where you were going, but somehow you were always there first. Their wins felt smaller. Their rooms felt colder. Their friends laughed less when they were around. And slowly, without them realizing, the story flipped. You weren't the one looking for their approval anymore. They were looking over their shoulder for yours. They wanted to know where you were. They wanted to be sure you weren't near. They wanted to feel safe. But that's the thing about safety. Once it's cracked, it never feels whole again. Betrayal no longer burned you. It fueled you. Every back turned against you became a wall you could disappear behind. Every knife they left in your spine became another piece of armor. You didn't want their trust back. You wanted their sleep. You wanted to live in the space between their breaths, the seconds where their heartbeat stumbles because they swear they felt something move in the room. The more they forgot you, the more you learned about how to return. Not loud, not flashy, but with precision. You'd become something worse than an enemy. You became a myth. And myths don't have to be seen to be feared. You waited, not because you were afraid, but because you knew patience was the one weapon they didn't believe you had. And while they lived like nothing could touch them, you sharpened yourself in silence. You studied their pride, their blind spots, their addictions, the places where they'd never expect a hit to land. Now, they don't even remember the moment they stopped laughing at you. They just know they did. Somewhere in between ignoring you and fearing you, their laughter died. And in its place came something colder. The quiet dread that maybe you weren't gone. Maybe you just changed form. They thought they erased you from the page, but they only made you the ink in the pen they'll use to write their own downfall. You're not gone. You're heavier now. You're the sound they can't trace in the middle of the night, the weight that settles in their chest when the room is still. They don't see you, but they hear you, the slow scrape of chains across the floorboards of their mind. Those chains aren't yours anymore. They're theirs, forged link by link from every lie, every betrayal, every cheap shot they threw when they thought you couldn't touch them. Now you drag them through their dreams like trophies. Your silence isn't absence. It's a siege. You've turned stillness into a weapon so sharp it bleeds them without a single visible wound. Every time they close their eyes, you are there, pacing the edges of their sleep, not speaking, not striking, just letting them feel you, the way a predator lets prey sense it's being watched before the kill. It's not kindness. It's psychological surgery. You don't haunt the places they expect. You don't appear in the moments they've braced themselves for. You show up in the safe zones, in their laughter, in their morning coffee, in the warmth of a room they thought belonged to them. And in those moments, something cold brushes against the back of their neck and they remember. They were the ones who made you like this. The human mind is fragile. You don't need to destroy it in one blow. You just need to scratch it in the same place over and over until it unravels. That's what you've been doing. Every glance they catch from a stranger that feels too long. Every sudden silence in a conversation when they walk in. Every dream where a faceless figure follows them. You are in all of them, and they can't scrub you out. And the beauty of it? You're not even there physically. You don't have to be. You've become the thought they can't outrun, the pulse they can't slow, the invisible weight pressing down on their days. They tried to bury you in nothingness, now that nothingness is your hunting ground. They wanted you dead, but they created something worse. A version of you that doesn't need to touch their body to break their spirit. You don't need to shout. You don't need to be seen. You can dismantle someone completely by living in their head, rent-free, dragging those chains across the floors of their sanity until the noise is all they hear. They'll try to fight it, of course. They'll throw parties, drown themselves in noise, surround themselves with people who tell them they're fine. But the mind is a cruel traitor. The moment the lights go out, the music stops, the room empties. There you are again, the slow pull of metal, the echo of weight, the reminder that their sins have shape, and you're carrying them. They think they're still in control. That's the sweetest part. They walk into rooms believing they own the space, unaware that they're just walking deeper into the place you've been building for them. The place where the walls breathe with your presence. The place where they'll beg for the kind of mercy you no longer give. Because you're not knocking at the door anymore. You're already inside, and the lock they trusted has been gone for a long, long time. They don't realize when it starts. Nobody ever does. It's subtle at first, a flicker in the corner of their eye, a sound they can't place. But slowly, the world they thought they controlled begins to change shape. Rooms they've lived in for years feel different, heavier. Doors they've walked through 1,000 times now feel watched. And the walls feel like they're breathing. They try to tell themselves it's nothing, that it's stress, that it's coincidence. But the body knows before the mind does. Their pulse rises for no reason. The hairs on their arms stand up in still air. Every step they take feels like it echoes too long. That's when you know you've got them. Because once fear lives in their body, the mind will follow. You've stopped haunting them in whispers. Now you're moving furniture in their head. You've rearranged the architecture of their reality. They thought they were walking into safe spaces, but you've gutted those spaces from the inside out. Now every hallway bends in the wrong direction. Every shadow stretches too far. And here's the thing they can't accept. You're not chasing them. You're herding them. Every choice they make is one you've already accounted for. Every escape route they think they've found leads somewhere you've been waiting. It's not about scaring them anymore. It's about control. And control means they'll never know if the next step they take is their last one. They'll start making mistakes now. Fear rots logic. They'll lose track of their own plans, sabotage their own steps. They'll lash out at people who could have helped them. They'll destroy their own defenses while thinking they're reinforcing them. You don't even have to push. You just have to watch them pull the floor out from under themselves. You've turned their confidence into a labyrinth with no exit. And the deeper they go, the more the air changes. Heavy, wet, unfamiliar. The walls seem closer. The space feels smaller. They swear they can hear something breathing in rhythm with their own. And in those moments, you're not a memory anymore. You're a presence, something living, something waiting. But here's the part that kills them most. They still don't know when you'll act. You've proven you can get close, closer than anyone else. But you haven't made your move. And that's the real terror. Not the strike, the waiting for it, the knowing that it's coming, but not knowing from where or when or how deep it will cut. They used to walk through the world like it belonged to them. Now they walk like tenants who know the landlord is coming to evict them. But the landlord is invisible, and they can't pack fast enough to get away. And you don't rush. You keep them moving in circles, trapping themselves deeper every day. Because you're not just inside their head anymore. You've turned their whole life into a maze, and you're standing at every dead end. They don't know if they're running from you, or straight into your hands. The cracks don't show all at once. They start as hairline fractures, a forgotten word mid-sentence, a laugh that sounds a little too forced, an excuse that doesn't match the story they told last week. But fear is an acid, and once it finds a crack, it eats everything from the inside out. Soon the fractures aren't hidden anymore. They're chasms, and everyone can see them. Their friends start noticing. The same people who once joined in on mocking you now give them sidelong glances. Conversations stall when they enter the room. Jokes fall flat. Even the ones who used to cheer their arrogance are quieter now because they can smell the weakness. People can't always name fear, but they can smell it like blood in the air. They try to keep the mask on. They practice their smile in the mirror, but even the mirror looks like it's mocking them. Their reflection feels wrong. The eyes staring back don't belong to someone in control anymore. They belong to prey. They see the tremor in their own hand when they think no one's watching. They hear the hesitation in their own voice, and they hate it. Sleep becomes a war zone. They dream of hallways they can't escape, of voices calling their name from behind locked doors. They wake up gasping, swearing they heard footsteps in the dark. But when they check, there's nothing. There's always nothing. And that's worse than finding something, because nothing means it's still there, just out of reach, just out of sight. They start losing things. Opportunities slip through their fingers because they can't focus long enough to grab them. People they trusted drift away, unwilling to stand too close to whatever this thing is that's following them. And the cruelest part, you haven't laid a finger on them. You haven't said a word. This is all their own mind folding in on itself, crushing them in slow motion. And you? You watch it all with the same patience you've had since the beginning. Because this isn't about striking fast. It's about making sure every piece of their life is rotting from the inside before you touch it. It's about ensuring that by the time you decide to end it, there's nothing left to save. They told themselves you were nothing, that you didn't matter, that you were just a ghost they could laugh away. Now they wish you were just a ghost, something they could dismiss, something they could exorcise. But ghosts fade. You don't. You've become the constant, the static hum in their bones, the weight in their chest that never lifts. And now the fear has matured into something far worse, inevitability. They know the end is coming. They just don't know how long they have before you decide to deliver it. They wanted a ghost. Now they're begging for an exorcism, but no priest can save them from what's already inside their skin. You don't arrive with an army. You don't arrive with noise. You arrive the way storms do. In the air, in the pressure, in the way everything suddenly feels wrong before the first drop falls. They know you're here before they see you. Their body reacts first, a chill down the spine, a tightness in the lungs, the feeling that the walls are bending in toward them. They've been living in your shadow for so long, they've forgotten what light feels like. You don't speak. You don't need to. Words would only give them the comfort of knowing when the strike is coming. Instead, you let them drown in the silence, the kind that makes their own heartbeat sound like a war drum. They try to fill it with apologies, explanations, bargaining, but you're not here for that. You're here for the thing they've been guarding most desperately. They thought you'd take revenge on their body, but that would have been mercy. Wounds heal, flesh forgets. No, you go deeper. You take the part of them that makes them feel safe inside their own head, their control, their certainty, their ability to believe they are untouchable. You shatter it with a single surgical strike, and the rest collapses on its own. They watch it happen in real time. The life they built on your grave crumbles brick by brick, until there's nothing left standing but the truth they tried to bury. You were never gone. You were never broken. You were the architect of their ending from the moment they declared you weren't real. And now they can't stop seeing you, not just in the corners of their vision, but in everything. Every silence feels like you. Every cold breeze is your breath. Every shadow looks like it's leaning toward them. You've taken up permanent residence in their mind, and there's no eviction notice strong enough to remove you. You don't rage, you don't gloat. You simply stand there, watching the last spark of their arrogance burn out. Because you understand something they never will. Real destruction isn't loud. It's the quiet erasure of someone's belief in themselves, and you've just erased them completely. The dust settles, not around you. Inside them, they feel it in their chest, in their throat, in the weight of their own thoughts. It coats everything they are, clogging the gears of who they used to be. They'll carry it forever, that slow suffocation of knowing they lost to something they said didn't exist. And you walk away without looking back. Not because it's over, but because it never will be. They will wake up every day in the ruins you left, breathing the dust of their own soul, haunted by the echo of your silence, because they said you weren't real. But now the only thing real is the ghost they can't kill, the ghost that wears your face, and the dust in their soul they'll choke on until the day they stop breathing.